Perfect. And I think we're recording now. Awesome. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Best Advocate Open House for the home-based services strategy into the new RFP. I'm Adrian Lopez. I'm the home-based services program manager with Best Start for Kids at the Public Health Department. With me today, it's Julia Escobar, who will be supporting me with admitting people to the room. So thank you, Juliet. And also I will introduce Liv Woodstrom, who will be working with me during the process. And if you can introduce yourself, Liv, that will be awesome.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Liv Woodstrom, and I am the Director of Programs at Start Early, and it is a pleasure to be here with you all today.
So thank you so much. So let's start with what we will be doing today. I want you to know our agenda for today. It's a little bit of an overview for the home-based services, what we did in the past, and what the project for BSK 2.0 is. The upcoming request for proposal. We don't have all information about the RFP. You will see some key elements, and also because we haven't launched the RFP, you still have an opportunity as an open house to any feedback or anything that you would like me to know for the upcoming RFP that you think it's important as a strategy. And then the third part will be about the community-driven exploration process that Liv and I will be leading before the RFP. You know, you can ask any questions, you can put it in the chat, you can unmute yourself, more than welcome for that. You will have also opportunities between each of the sections to, you know, have a discussion on what we are seeing and what we're presenting for sure. So let's start with just the overview of the home-based services, what we did in the past. And I wanted you to know what is that we define home-based services so that we are on the same page. So we said that home-based services are a type of relationship-based support provided by trained home visitors to expecting parents and caregivers of children from birth to age 5 in the place of families where the family feel more comfortable, their home. At Best Start for Kids, we understand that it's important for families to have, you know, a range of different home-based services to support them. So that's why we try to invest on different type of evidence. So evidence-based programs, evidence-informed programs, and also community-defined programs, design programs. But I want you to know on that the investment for this coming, you know, starting in 2022 with Best Start for Kids 2.0 is about 63 million. That's about 10 million every year on investment for the home-based services. And our goal every year, it's about 1,650 families every year. We usually go over this number, but that's kind of the minimum that we have in our implementation plan within all the home-based services that we provide. What we did, you know, differently in the past, and I think it is still part of our values for the next round, and this is the part where I want your support if there's something that you feel we're missing. It is that we still value different type of evidences. We believe that there is a range of home-based services that needs to be there for each family because each of them have different needs. We also invest on ways of knowing, meaning that communities also know how we need to do the job. And then also we provide capacity building support, which we will keep providing throughout this process, RFP, and also in the moment that you get awarded, if you get awarded. I want you to know what we did in the past. We, in home-based service of 1.0, it was about 10 million every year from 2017 throughout 2020-21. We funded 16 parent child post programs, 6 parents as teacher program, 2 child parent psychotherapy program, 1 early head start home-based services program, 1 Cherish program, 2 community-based doulas program, and then also 10 community design programs. Those are 32 community partners, 38 programs, and also we had technical support for each of them, and also capacity building support. That's what we did in the past. I want just to stop a second to recognize all the partners that we had. Those are the 32 programs, the 32 organizations that we funded. I just wanted to recognize all of you. Some of you are here, some of you are new, because I see faces and programs that we didn't fund in the past. But I just want to say thank you for your partnership. And I know that we still are in partnership working together. And I hope to see you in the next coming years too. But I wanted just to recognize all of you. Yeah. And I will not mention all of those because there are a lot of them. So the upcoming RFP that I think it's important for us to know, and these are just key elements of the RFP. The first part is, we are in the final draft of the RFP at this moment. This time around, we are doing a coordinated RFP that includes community engagement and exploration process to incentivize collaboration instead of competition. I want you to know that in the past, we did 3 different RFPs. We did an RFP for parent-child plus programs. We did an RFP for evidence-based programs and evidence-based and evidence-informed programs. And we did an RFP for community design programs. We decided to go with this approach because in the past, we rolled those 3 and it created a lot of burden on organizations, but also made it difficult for us to think in a comprehensive way on what services we were providing and where and what communities, because we did it in different timeline. I think with this approach will allow us to be strategic and intentional in ensuring being responsive to the community and the services that we are providing. And I think we will be able to improve our ability to address the gaps and better serve the communities that we have. What you see here on these 2 components, it's that what we want to say, and that's why we still value different type of evidences. It's that we want to invest on nationally implemented models, and we want to invest on community design models. The nationally implemented models just mean, programs like Parents as Teacher, Parent-Child Plus programs, Family Spirit, community-based doulas programs, parent-child assistance programs are programs that are, that use a model that have been tested through an evaluation, a model that has a documented model that they follow for. It's not that you're going to do this. These are models that are already developed, and you will grab this model and then apply it in your community, right? Some of you already apply this model, and you may apply for continuing these models. And then you have the community design models that are approaches that are designed and implemented by you and for your community, and that are reflective of the community that you are serving. I put these example models that are the 10 community models that we worked in the past. All of them are, for example, Bebes at el Centro de la Raza, Iraqi Early Learning and Family Support, the Colores at San Vicente of Paul. So different programs that we invested in the past that were developed for us and with your community. What I want you to know, if for some reason this is something that you want to do in your community and your organization, you will receive the support and innovation support for about 2.5 years working with you and developing these programs, yeah? Also, once I share with you, you have a link here where you can see each of these programs, what they did, what their goals were for the community's design programs, just in case if you want to take a look at, oh no, do I want to do this? Or does it make sense for me to do it or not? So what we thought for this common request for proposal is that organizations that are interested can apply to implement a home visiting model for the first time. You can also continue implementation of an already operating home visiting service. You can develop a new program. You can continue to implement a program that you already created in your community. You can make a significant improvement or further development of already operating program, or you can make a specific adaptation of a program that has some type of evidence. So there is a lot of options where you can take off. And I think that's kind of the best part that I think about the RFP. This is something that you have, the community has asked us in the past, and we continue valuing this type of work. And, who can participate in this RFP? What type of organizations? Nonprofits, non-for-profits, community-based organizations, tribes and tribal organizations, school and school district, public or governmental agencies, Partnership are eligible to apply to. One organization, must agree to serve as the contract administrator of the program. And what models? You can apply for any model you want, meaning that if in your organization you have a Parent-Child Plus program and you decide, I want to continue with my Parent-Child Plus program, but also I want to create something completely different for my community, you can apply also for another community design program. You can also apply for different type of nationally implemented. For example, you may have a Parents as Teachers program, but also you want to do a Parent-Child Plus program because you feel that in community that it's needed. That's also that you can do in the same RFP. The idea is that you basically will be applying once and selecting what is that you want and what community you want to serve. And that will give us more of the information that we need for not overlapping services in the county, and to make sure that we have different models and different communities so that we are serving every community that we have. Yes, Susan.
Adrian, can I just ask a question? If
Yes.
we were to apply for more than one model, are they going to be funded independently or collectively?
Independently.
So if we applied for two, we could get one, but not both, or we
Correct.
could get
Yes.
both. All right, thanks.
Correct. And I will answer, you didn't ask this, Susan, but I want to add this. It is independently because we want to make sure that, for example, not 6 PAT or Parents as Teacher programs are in the same community at the same service area. So we want to make sure that we are distributing the services everywhere. And I added this last line of anyone can apply for it. BSK funded programs that have been funded in the past, Best Start for Kids funded programs throughout other strategies, and non-BSK funded at this time. So everyone is encouraged to apply during this process. Yeah. And I think this is the part that I wanted you to know. It's about the timeline. The RFP will be open on January 10th of 2023. We will have, of course, info sessions to give you more details of the RFP. On February 21st, the proposal will be due. So you will have about 6 weeks to work on your proposal. As always, you will have free technical assistance support, which will help, will support you in the process of how to create your application. The selection process will be, around March. So that means that in April, we should be knowing what organizations are going to be awarded and which not, so that we have a little bit more time there for you to start. And then the contracts will start in July 1st of 2023. Those contracts will go for 3 years. So we'll go from July 1st of 2023 through July 30th of 2026. Why the 3 years? It's because in our implementation plan, the council approved us to have RFP for 3 years. And then at that moment, we can reevaluate how we approach the rest of the years that we have with the lobby. Yeah. And I'll stop there. For you, if you have questions, doubts. Also, if you feel that there is something, Adrian, you are forgetting this, you're missing this, there is something I want to make sure that you know so that it's within the RFP too.
So my name is Abdi Isaac. I am a community member and I wanted to make a comment. Yeah, I've been in child development for about 16 years here in Seattle. And one of the things that has been a main issue is human capital, trained home visitors, child development, people who have experience and knowledge and skills to deliver these kind of services. So that continued. I mean, the pandemic made it worse, and people went in different direction. Others left the state or the careers they used to do. So there's a squeeze there, and so the county now is doing this very important investment. But the supply side for the staff that will be implementing this isn't there. Technically isn't there. The other point to this is that there's a need, obviously, for closer to community, say, for example, home visitors. The public health model for community health workers, for example, people coming from this community, working with this community, they have trusted, kind of tested, lived experiences within the community. And that is largely lacking in child development, from my experience. So what is county doing in terms of showing up, kind of increasing the supply of trained child development, at least the home visitor level staffing within the county? I mean, I see this as an investment by the county, but the other side also, I believe this could also be maybe even training people within the community for CDA programs or child development associate programs, or 12 stackable credit in various languages within the communities. Is there something like that? I'm sure there's a thinking about that, but is there something about that will going to support the communities that are applying to these projects?
Yes.
But I'm independent. I'm not working for any of the organizations at this time.
No, okay. Thank you.
Child development, that's why I'm here.
Thank you. Julie, I saw your smile.
Those are really great points.
I
I
know,
agree
right?
with all of them. I don't have any one clear, concise answer. I would say it's definitely, I think it's something that sort of spreads across all the strategies we have here in Prenatal to 5 Best Starts for Kids that we're all aware of and nobody's sort of owning, but we're each contributing hopefully to the solution. We do have a workforce development strategy, but I don't think, to your point, Amdia, I don't think that does a lot about increasing supply of qualified staff. I think that is more for training up and helping people gain more skills and information once they're already sort of hired and connected. And so what you're saying is true for all sorts of early learning sectors, whether it's, you know, early intervention birth to 3 services, we can't find enough speech language pathologists to serve all the kids that need them, or childcare providers, or now elementary teachers. And so, you know, there's some work being done sort of at the college level about, you know, the pipeline of students, and especially to have more representative staff in these jobs. But it doesn't really fall into any one bucket here. But I think it's definitely something we all need to think more about. So I appreciate you lifting that up.
Thank you, Julia. I see another question in the chat. You know, for current home visiting grantees, will there be any funding to continue services January through June? Yes, all the programs that are currently funded with the home-based services have a contract that goes through June of 2023. And that's why the RFP starts in January, so that we have time to work with you in case of you don't get awarded for the next cycle. But yes, Margaret. Any other questions, thoughts? Anything that you would like us to know?
Adrian, this is Diana. I just had a quick question. If you could just rewind a little bit, when I was thinking about the visuals that you put up on the screen, where we were looking at the differences between the strategy for 1.0 and 2.0. And I think I'm just trying to make sense of it. Is the strategy that there's just more flexibility in the type of program that will be funded this round, and that it was just more discrete? And then, like, the evidence-based programs were listed as, I think you mentioned, parents as teachers, Parent Child Plus, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2.0, I think you said you're valuing different types of evidence-based programs or different levels. Is that so? It's just more flexible. Is that what I'm getting?
So what we're trying is, we're still valuing all the type of evidences. I don't think it's more flexible, but we wanted to do with the RFP to make it easier for you to apply, so that you don't have a burden on applying 3 times if you want 3 different programs, you know. it is the same bucket and we want you to make it easier for you, but also the other piece that I think Leaf will work, it's the piece of, we wanted to do it together so that you all with us can collaborate, so it's not to make it easier, but to plant the seed of collaboration so that we don't have overlapping services everywhere. So right now we have so many type of home-based services that because we didn't do it comprehensively, we have services in some communities and some areas that are overlapping and it's not that we still have the need, but then we have other communities that are not receiving almost any support throughout the process because we weren't able to know these. So I would not say it's easy or flexible. I think we're still working with all type of programs that could provide services in the home of the families. It is more about trying to make it a little bit more comprehensive, and that we can chat and talk with each other and define what services are needed depending on the community that we are at. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Also, some of the recommendations, and you see a change on the language on the RFP, is because we receive a lot of feedback that the language that we have wasn't clear for many communities and for many organizations. And let's make it a little bit more accessible for everyone. What is that you want to do here and what you don't want to do here. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, I'm gonna go to the next part. And the next part is, I will encourage all of you to participate. What we want with this part is for you to sit down with other partners and see what services are needed, and to try to incentivize collaboration. Yeah. And it's the upcoming community-driven exploration process. It's part of the RFP, but still we have more opportunity to talk about things that we will not be able to talk when the RFP is out. Because once it's out, we cannot inform anything that is happening there for the RFP either. In this community-driven process, in the upcoming months, October, November, December, we will host a series of meetings with you community organizations in different regions of King County. We want to support and cultivate collaboration so that we can better support our families. We want you to be matched with the community needs and resources that are there. But also we want to explore different models. If you feel that maybe what you're doing right now could be shift and could be different than what you're doing. It doesn't mean that what you're doing right now it's bad or anything like that. It means like how we can collaborate with other organizations that are around me so that we are not overlapping those services. Yeah. And with this part, I'll let Leaf talk a little bit about it.
Thanks, Adrian. Can you go to the next slide? And I'll just introduce myself again. My name's Liv, and I work at Start Early, and I'm just so thankful to be part of the supports offered in this process with BSK. I have, and my team has done several efforts of community planning, and wanted to just share with you all a little about what we've heard in the past in terms of the experience and the benefits of allowing this time of collaboration and support as you all figure out what your next steps will be. So we've done this kind of work, I think, probably in something like 11 different counties, 15 different efforts. So I want to share what we've heard and then talk a little bit about what we're thinking for this opportunity with you all. So when we've done community planning in the past, some of the things that we've heard from participants was, one, wow, this kind of support early on isn't typically offered. And what we've been able to see by being able to have this type of convening is that it allows for us to coordinate and better understand services being offered to families, as well as what other partners or organizations are thinking about in terms of their future plans for what they're offering. So general feedback was there's usually not a lot of time or space or support to do this coordination effort. And what they have been able to see as a result of setting the table for supporting this kind of coordination is that it continues to build out strong referral systems and partnerships and just building relationships among your neighbors. So information sharing is valuable. This planning is valuable for coordination and understanding. Another thing that we've heard over time, just in terms of supporting and setting the table for these kinds of conversations, is that it can really allow for collaborative sort of interpretation and understanding of where there's gaps in services for families, and what it will look like to continue to enhance what a range of offerings might look like. So it has allowed for further perspective taking on where we want to grow to meet family needs. And then it allows for time and space for people to understand basically what are the other types of services that need to be implemented. So going deep into what it takes to start up a new program that is meeting gaps in the continuum of offering for families. So the overall takeaway is, gosh, it feels really good to actually have supported safe space to have coordination efforts. And the way that we've always approached this is that basically we want to be responsive to what you say is the most important things to be covering while you're assessing what it looks like to best meet the needs of your family. So in the next couple of slides, I'm going to kind of go over what a potential flow of the meetings would look like, but I really want to make sure that I'm highlighting and saying we will continue to say what works for you, and we will support you and being able to get the information and the priority topics covered. So this is really about making sure that these meetings are a benefit to you and the pre-work is done for you before these meetings. So they're kind of fluid, and they're supposed to be really responsive. And what we have heard is that people appreciate the time. Okay, next slide. The way we have anticipated our structure for this is that we are framing that there are 3 meetings that will be offered to continue building on what it will look like to offer a continuum of services in the way that Adrian had kind of outlined where those meetings will be taking place. The general flow that we're thinking is that we are going to be talking with each other, building relationships to really understand the network of offerings that are available and make sure that you all are able to hear from one another around what's going on, what's working, who you're supporting, where you're supporting, and your thoughts about the future. We'll be supporting you all around continuing to further kind of your data and storytelling about what you're doing, how you know, and further building sort of awareness around how we assess where there are additional gaps. Adrian, I guess I'm just going to go through the meetings real quick. So can you go to the next slide? So you'll see here, we're thinking that building on the relationship building, really talking about data and understanding what you know and what you see. We'll also be wanting to support conversations around continuing the offerings or continuum of services and how we continue to coalesce on that while assessing where there are gaps in services. So we're knowing this is going to be fluid, it's going to be responsive. We're going to be asking you, is this what you want to be covering? What information do you want to see in the next meeting? What would be supportive? But we wanted to first provide kind of a general framework of what we've seen are often topics that are discussed. The 4th meeting outlined here, and I'm sorry if this is getting confusing without like a visual, but we wanted to have one large meeting where people can go deep into what they need to know about eligible models, or sort of what are the pathways of services that can be funded through BSK, which is what Adrian was talking about earlier. So was that clear? Adrian, do I need to do anything more around the 3 meetings and then a 4th large one together?
No, I will just pass it to all of you to see if this makes sense, if it's interesting for you. You know, what do you feel? And this is an opportunity for you all to, sit down with us and with the community organizations that are around you and see what services we are providing in every area and every community. And for the piece that I think is more important as an organization for me, from the point of view of applying for the RFP, is that I always put the example of, I don't want two organizations applying for exactly the same type of services for exactly the same community. Because for sure, only one of you will get funded, So what I want you to see is that if my organization serves Hispanic community, prenatal to 5, and Juliet has another organization that is serving exactly the same, I would love to sit down with her to, maybe we could go as a partnership and do it together. Or we can decide, hey, Juliet, I'll serve prenatal to 3, you'll serve 3 to 5, and that it's to try to coordinate the services, to try to have, no overlapping services, that I think will give more opportunities for people to get awarded, because you will have a more competitive application or proposal. And that's kind of the goal, but also for us to try to coordinate what services we're providing. Yes, it is.
Hello, everybody. My name is Aris Navarro. I work for the Latin community in San Joaquin County for the Best Start program for El Centro de la Raza. And we have this community design program that we are working for 3 years. And of course, we have retroalimentation from the families directly. We have a bunch of ideas about what they need and how we can try to improve our program. But something that I really need to have to me, for me and for my team, is see the database. I mean, we work with infant prevention mortality, but what I need to see is the data, the statistic about the how many kids or how many babies they lost their life, and what kind of accidents and what kind of areas to can focus in that kind of needs. I mean, if we have the data from CDC or for the health department, will be better for us to try to improve the topics about safety, about health in that specific areas. Is something that I would appreciate if we have that data. I try to looking for that kind of information from a different kind of pages, and we have training about that kind of things. But if we have in a document about the statistic about why and when the pregnant moms they lost their baby, about what kind of disease they are, they have relation with the fact that they lost their baby when they are pregnant, or why the little kids, the reason for what they die. If we have that data, we can focus specifically to can service better to our family. I don't know if I explain myself the way that I want, because I barely speak English, but that's what I try to say.
All you said, that makes sense, it is. And I think part of this process with the community-driven process, we will also be working with, for example, we have communities kind of King County, and all this information and data that you may need, it's there too. So that will be part of the process too. And I see, Leaf, that you unmuted yourself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the perfect example, because asking you what kind of data and information you really want to be able to continue to dive into, and for us to be able to try to hear that kind of request, I think is exactly what we want to get into and elevate. And it's kind of what we were thinking in that first meeting, is we need to connect with each other, understand what's happening, and understand what you want to know more about, so we can come to a future meeting with response and ideas and resources based off of what you say is important for you and your work. So I guess that's the way I think of this, is it's the perfect place to elevate the things that you want to know more about and be able to surface and hear from one another, so we can continue to build out services that are working for you and your organization, as well as for neighboring partners.
Thank you, Liv. I will stop here for a second so that we can all see each other. And I see Faisa, you have your hand up.
Yeah, hi everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, I just wanted to add something that Adrian just said a few minutes ago, about the fact that just multiple organizations like doing the same thing, right? That you all are funding. And I think it's a brilliant idea to sort of limit that, because what happens is sometimes, for instance, we create a program and we try to reach out to our partners to sort of, and I've had conversations about referrals with you, Adrian, in the past, about how we can better that, especially just the cohort, the folks that are here for the home-based. What happens is, for instance, we have been providing childbirth education classes for quite some time now, and we've invited our partners to sort of send their, pregnant folks to us and everything. But people would rather do their own thing. And then now we're having, low attendance for us and for them too. So it really doesn't make sense, for people to sort of replicate the same programs and go after the same dollar. You know what I mean? Because it's not serving anyone well. So I would like to see that some sort of I don't know the word I'm trying to say, but like just having a lid on such thing. So yeah.
That's one of the things that we've heard from people, is like even just an opportunity to have conversations about what you're doing, where you could coordinate. And sometimes those aren't easy conversations too. And so recognizing that, but there are a lot of families and there's less services. So the more that we do that kind of coordination, the better off families are going to be, and the better off our organizations are going to be, because we'll have a more aligned approach. And one of the things that we've heard over time is inadvertently we apply for things and we don't realize that we're actually creating direct competition with others, and we just don't have even an opportunity to talk about it. So the intention is to be able to at least say, let's create an opportunity. Let's talk about it, so that when you make your choices around where you're going to think about your program in this coming year, you'll have more information to inform that. And hopefully the outcome is that you feel like there's more of sort of that it will mitigate basically where there's those points of tension, and it can be more coordinated, and your referrals will feel stronger, and you won't inadvertently be putting, yourself in a place where you're actually competing, because that's what you had originally forecasted. So it's a little bit of a, all of this is like, let's try and see how it goes. And our intent is just to be responsive to what you elevate, while knowing that it actually is a rarity to create time and space to have these conversations. And our hope is that the outcome is more coordination of services for the limited resources to families, which will make your job easier too.
Could you describe how the timeline of the 4 meetings fits in with the timeline of the funding opportunity?
Yeah, the 4th meeting, so it started in October 13, I think it's the first meeting that we have, and it ends on December 13. The RFP timeline is for January 10th. So basically there is a month of difference between the last meeting from the exploration process to enter in the funding opportunity.
And Adrian, are the 4 meetings, Liv and Adrian, are they going to be covering all of the same topics, or is the first meeting the first topic, the second meeting the second topic, or are you intending to cover all 4 areas at each of the meetings so we can figure out how to distribute our participation?
The way I would answer that, and Adrian, I was, when you're on Zoom, you're like
Yeah.
looking at each other a little bit, trying to figure out who's going to answer. Our intention is to kind of go through the phases around like general awareness building, diving deeper into data, talking more about the continuum of services and kind of fine tuning what we're seeing through that process. So that's kind of the outline right now. So I don't know if that actually answers your question. We will, once you sign up to participate, we will send a more detailed draft agenda. And usually we want to, ask for feedback too, but you'll get more detail about what the meeting content is after you register. So you'll have an even better sense of who should be coming. I think that awareness building is going to take some time. So we don't want to rush that. So just wanting to say that too, like all these are pretty deep topics. And so not wanting to cover them all just in one time together, hoping that they will build on each other. Each meeting is forecasted to be 2 hours, and there's 3 meetings with that progression. That's a lot of time. And so we know that. And I guess one of the things that I see as our responsibility is that we do adequate documentation so that if you can't participate, you can see what's happened and that you have information to build off of from the last meeting. So it is a little bit of a time commitment, and I want to just say that, but the effort will be, if you can't make it or a colleague can't make it, we will do our best to document and have meeting notes and share out so that you can track on progress later throughout the process.
And they are in person, just based on what I could glean from that slide.
So right now we have Zoom, but however, once you do the registration, we actually wanted to ask you all if we were open to do an in-person one, I think it will be important for us to, to meet as a community, but that's something that we wanted to leave it more to you, if that's something that you feel comfortable with.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And I paste in the chat the link for the registration, and I'll send it through email to all of you. That's the registration, and you will see 2 groups. We divided them on North and East agencies, and then Seattle and South King County agencies, just to try to divide the areas. I know that some of you are, like, for example, in Seattle, it's still served North, and that's completely fine. But you don't have to register for both of them, but we wanted just to divide a little bit the county, because the realities of each, the 2 areas are completely different from each other.
And Adrian, someone asked to see the kind of brief summary of the meeting content.
Yes.
Adrian, that link works perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you got it? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. And also in the link that I put in the chat, and I will paste it again, that is for the registration, you will see all the information of each meeting so that you can have it too. And there it go again.
I think we're going to be busy. Like the support team is going to be sweating in between meetings in terms of aggregating and sharing back and just being responsive.
Awesome. Any other questions, thoughts?
If we want to attend, say, all 4 meetings, because they're each meeting's building on the previous one, right? I take it the answer is no, that like you can't really mix and match. Like, let's say I can make schedule wise, I can make the first meeting for North and East King County, but can't meet can't attend the second one. Could I attend the Seattle and South King County one? Or that doesn't make sense to do because of the building on prior meetings.
That's an interesting approach.
Whether I'm going to a different region.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all about people just making choices for themselves around what makes the most sense. And I I think hopefully we do a good enough job. And also I'm like, "Oh, I really hope we can do this well." But like being able to summarize the core topics and what is pulled out from meetings so that you still feel like you get to see progression and can track what's occurring. So that's the hope. Or if you can't go, you could ask a colleague to go, or you can just read the notes and then be able to feel like you can see enough around how things are evolving. Because we understand that we picked dates and that those dates might not work for you. And so that could provide some barriers. And so we are really hoping that the legwork around documenting will allow for you to be able to engage to the level that you can. But also, I think, you know, this is about relationship building with peers and sharing information with peers. And so I think there is importance around being there, but that's a hard thing to make, that amount of time, with us being able to say it's this time on this date. So fingers crossed, it's still enough that you can feel like there's a benefit to you, even if you can only engage in part of the effort.
Okay, great, thank you.
So we have a question in the chat confirming that everyone who attend to the, to the meetings can also apply for the RFP. Yes, like this process, if you don't participate in the process, or if you participate in the process, you can apply for the RFP. It doesn't, it will not, you will not be ineligible because you participated or not. This is a whole volunteer process. So it's up to you, and we encourage for you to be with us, but it's all good if you don't. Yeah. So Miriam, about the Zoom, you will see that when you register, you will have a Zoom link already for the first, for all the meetings. And we will be reaching out to you to think about, for example, the last meeting, that is the one that we have thought that maybe it could be good to have it all together because it will be the same day for everyone. But that's something that we will work with you. But you will see at this point that everything is like in Zoom.
I just wanted to add that I'm really grateful for this space that you guys are creating for us. I think it's really important for us as communities to get together and collaborate around the communities we're serving, to listen to each other and learn from each other. It's always like a nerve-wracking time when around like request for proposal time. So I feel like it's going to be a really supportive space for everybody. So thank you for providing that.
Thank you, Jasmine. And now what I will add is also, thank you, Miriam. Miriam is saying that all the meetings look like in-person meetings, so we can explore that, Liv. So thank you, Jasmine. What I will add is that, we will be working together, but also you will have an opportunity to get to know, for example, our partners at Communities Count, that you will know more about how do I use this data that the county is giving to me. It is what you were mentioning about infant mortality. Everything is there. They will teach you how to work with that tool, and how do you use it for your, for the next RFP, to even to build your story about what it's needed for your community. But also you will get to know our teams at Innovation Support. If you decide that you want to create a program in the home-based services, you will get to know the team that will be working with you in the coming 3 years. Also, you're going to apply for an RFP. You also will see what the technical assistance support you will be offered during the coming months too. So I think you will have an opportunity not just to get to know each other, but also to get to know every partner that you will have in the process. Yeah? And we are 11:55. I'll give you one more time if there is anything else that you want to add. Perfect. So I put in the chat the link for the registration for this process. Do not hesitate in reaching out to me if there is anything that you still feel we need to work on and that needs to be maybe different of what we're doing. But thank you so much for being here today. And I'll pass it to Julia that she wants to share something with you before you all go.
Hi, this is sort of a pivot to a different but related topic. I'm sort of Adrian's counterpart, but I focused on universal developmental screening. And so I am also preparing for some new work to get started next year and using this time to just sort of examine what's happened, what's gone well, and also to hear from people about where we should focus going forward. So I am putting a very short survey in the chat. It's a Survey Monkey, and please share it with any staff that do developmental screening or maybe used to do or would do, but don't for some reason, really anyone in the early childhood field. This will be open for the next about 6 weeks and can be shared widely. I've also told a bunch of people the responses are all like comment boxes. So if you don't want to answer that question, but you still want to tell me something, feel free to just add that information there. And I appreciate all the thoughts that will be contributed. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'll stop the recording now and I'll say